Joining us now is Ojy Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Ojy.
Good morning, Dr. Mati. How are you?
I'm good.
Perfect.
Good morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, it's Friday.
I've been waiting for today, really.
Join the club.
Great. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin What's Trending with an exciting news on their entertainment. Global streaming platform Apple Music is launching its first radio show in Africa. And Nigerian disc jockey Florence Otedola, better known as DJ Copy, will be the host for the new show. The streaming platform announced on Thursday that the show titled Africa Now Radio with Copy will debut Sunday, May 31st and will feature a mix of contemporary and traditional popular African sounds. DJ Copy will host the weekly one-hour show, which will be available at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Well, I'll definitely be tuning in. I'm so happy that Apple have finally created their first radio show in Africa. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this for such a long time.
Yeah, it's such an amazing opportunity also for Africa. You know, Africa has been in the streaming platform for a while now, but you know, it's just like DJ Copy said, it's going to change the narrative for African music this time
Especially
around.
with the growth of digital radio as well.
It's
congrats to her as well on getting this gig.
Yes,
brilliant.
Congrats to DJ Copy.
I think appropriately this is something worthy of celebration. It's a major endorsement for DJ Copy, renamed Florence Ifelua Otedola, 26 years old, right?
Yes, she is.
And, you know, she's been doing this, working very hard. And this is also another indication that hard work pays. When you read some of the narrative about her, some people say, well, I mean, she's a silver spoon kid, and that why should he be worrying herself so much to work hard? But this shows that if you have talent, if you have talent, it doesn't matter, you know, what your background is. And she's been so successful that even now, people refer to Femi Otedola as a DJ Copy's father. You know, so it's a big achievement for her. And for the benefit of those who want to listen to it, it will be available at 2 p.m. on Sunday. That will be our first outing. But as you have pointed out, it's also a good recognition for Africa. In recent times, we've seen many major platforms, international, either at the individual level or at the corporate level, trying to pay attention to Africa. Before now, you have had African artists collaborating with Drake and Beyonce.
And they've used a lot of their tunes
many
in
of
their
our
music,
artists, from Wizkid to Davido to Burna Boy to DJ Black Coffee in South Africa, have been on the international stage. They've won some of the best awards. So this is another good news. Now, also before Apple, you had Netflix also getting content from parts of Africa. And then about the same time, that this Apple initiative was announced, the Universal Musical Group is also setting up offices in Johannesburg and in Lagos to launch what they call Def Jam Africa, through which they're going to source talents from across the continent. So it's good to see this celebration of African talent, and I hope that DJ Copy's achievement will be a source of inspiration for other DJs and many young enterprising creative artists like her.
We're all very excited for DJ Copy. Well, let's take another story. Nigerians on social media are outraged over the killings in Sokoto State, where more than 70 people have lost their lives in coordinated attacks by gunmen in 3 villages. Residents of the affected villages allege that some of the gunmen were herders who used the occasion as their response to the farmers who prevent them from grazing their herd. Since the beginning of the year, there have been reports of frequent attacks by gunmen across several local government areas in the state, forcing hundreds of people to flee their villages. Well, let's take some Twitter reactions before we come back for a discussion. One user, Aproko Doctor, wrote, "Innocent people are being massacred in southern Kaduna. Over 60 people dead in Sokoto. The government responsible for keeping its people safe failed to do so. Speak up for those who don't have a voice." Another user wrote, "At least 60 people were killed in Sokoto yesterday. BBC Hausa reports that the gunmen operated with impunity for hours. As usual, Garba or Femi will express deeper sympathies today, and that's it. When will Buhari and his crowd start valuing ordinary Nigerians as human beings?" Finally, Senator Sani Shehu wrote, 66 bodies have reportedly been buried as casualties from the bandits' attacks in Sokoto State. Banditry is a menace more lethal to us here in the north than COVID-19. Soon, there will be closed-door security meeting, and then marching orders will be given. Then, nothing.
You know, Africa Day, the theme this year was silencing the guns. And when we did a lot of coverage on Africa Day on this show and other programs, we spoke a lot on how it's going to take a lot for us to get to a stage where we are actually silencing the guns. And this is an example of the daily realities being faced in communities, not just in Nigeria, but across the entire continent. And you have to really ask, the access to weaponry that people have on the black market is so dangerous. What is being done about it? We have discussed this so many times. And really and truly, no effort seems to be being made, as far as I know of anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong, to actually address the fact that people have a lot of free access to weapons on the black market, and this is the result.
That's a good point.
Well, there is a small arms and illegal weapons proliferation treaty, under the protocols of which regions are supposed to collaborate. And Nigeria, in fact, has a commission in place to address that. But you know, Nigeria has so many challenges, even before COVID-19, of porous borders, of persons smuggling in arms and ammunition and then using it to wreak havoc. However, I think that one quick point about what happened in 5 villages in Sokoto State is that, look, we're facing the challenge of COVID-19, but internal security remains a very serious problem. The Northeast may be the theater of war, but you see that this is from the Northwest. And so, in fact, no part of the country is safe. And that is why, as government addresses the challenge of COVID-19, we must not drop the ball on the issue of security. Now, the presidency, giving account of 5 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's government administration, pointed out that a lot has been done in terms of security, in terms of reducing the menace of security. But the truth of the matter is that a story like this reminds us that there's still a lot more to be done, that it is a work in progress. Two, the other point is about the capacity of our security agencies. We were told that this attack started at 6 p.m. and that the bandits were over 100. And then they operated for hours and no security agency could go to the rescue of the people. And what even makes it curious is that the Governor Tambuwal, said that he and his team had visited this particular set of communities only a few days earlier. And so who dropped the ball? What went wrong? And I think that, you know, the appropriate lessons should be learned. You see the tweets you quoted. People were being cynical. That, look, we're used to this.
That's exactly
so a situation where people believe that violent attacks on communities is part of the new normal, then
I mean, look at what happened in the U.S. One young man dies, and there's protests going on till late at night. Everyone is going.
No, one young man did not die. One young man was murdered.
Murdered, yes. And everyone is screaming, and we're here in Nigeria, and these people's lives are just being taken away from them.
One of the tweets that you put up kind of gave, I wouldn't say reasoning, but kind of gave an understanding as to why the tweet was like, what you will get is, I can't remember who it mentioned, but people in government sending their deepest sympathies, and that's as far as it will go. So if from the very top of the helm of affairs, when it comes to leadership, you're not getting the right response to crisis like this on your people, then what exactly do you expect from your people themselves, who, like Dr. Abati said, already see this as the norm? They see this as the norm.
Well, apparently, I believe President Buhari yesterday has already ordered for security military vehicles to go into Sokoto as of yesterday, from what I read.
Well, every Nigerian life should matter.
Absolutely.
Whether the person is living in Sokoto State or in, where is that your state? Oyo State.
Best states in Nigeria.
No, Delta is the best state.
Oyo State is the best state.
Delta is the best state.
I'm not going to accept this argument. Delta State is the second best state.
All right. Well, I'm not agreeing. Why did I say all right? Well, in Nigeria, Kogi state government has rejected the 2 index cases reported by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Saka Haruna Audu, in a press statement on Wednesday, described the claim as a fallacy. In his words, Kogi State, till this very moment, is COVID-19 free. We have developed a full testing capacity and have conducted hundreds of tests so far, which have returned negative. We will not be a party to any fictitious COVID-19 claims outside Kogi. In an interview, the state's Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, accused the NCDC of defrauding Nigerians with the coronavirus pandemic. Let's take a quick listen.
NCDC should stop defrauding this country. I am not one of those who think NCDC is helping this country. I am one of those who think NCDC has an agenda to spread COVID-19 to all the states of the Federation. And when there was no case in Kogi State, they did all they could to ensure that Kogi has a case. They are locking down the country. They are advising the presidency to lock down the country. The economy is suffering. The economy is bleeding. People are hungry. Other elements are killing Nigerians. Why they are concentrating on a pandemic that has killed less people than malaria has killed in the last 2 months. So there's something they need to tell Nigerians about it. So as a state, we don't trust in the credibility of NCDC.
All right. Well,
fascinating.
Well, I couldn't hold myself from laughing.
I would like to comment on it, but we need to take a short break, Ojy. And then when we return, what's trending will continue. Stay with us. It's still the morning show here on Arise News.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still on What's Trending with Ojy Okpe, and we're looking into Kogi State. How fascinating. I mean, how wonderful. What's the right word to even use to describe this situation?
It would be scandalous.
How unbelievable.
I mean, those claims that he made, I don't understand where he's getting them from. Like,
he's not getting his information from anywhere.
What would the NCDC gain from defrauding first Kogi State to even start with? And they're saying that they still have no COVID-19 case when clearly 2 people that got their results were from Kogi State. Wait, what happens to those 2 people? And then he also, and this is the mistake they're still making, is that comparing COVID-19 to malaria again. I mean, I don't understand. This is a global pandemic. That's why the whole world is focusing on coronavirus, on the new coronavirus at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I posed a question to Dr. Ihekwazu this morning, and I thought he was going to go to town on it, but he tried to play safe and just state very clearly that from what they have seen at NCDC, 2 cases from Kogi State were referred to a facility to the National Hospital in Abuja. And the samples were forwarded to the NCDC. And those 2 samples tested positive. And that is the source of the data that NCDC quoted. So from the point of view of science, it is established that there are 2 cases from Kogi State. Because according to him, those 2 patients who were referred to Abuja, they are residents
in Kogi,
so they can effectively be part of the Kogi number. The other development, of course, is that the Presidential Task Force has said that another team will be sent to Kogi State. And the Minister of Health hopes that they will get the cooperation of the state government. But with this kind of talk by the head commissioner of Kogi State and the commissioner for information, I doubt even if you send the 100 teams to Kogi, whether or not they will receive the right reception or collaboration that they require from the state government, which is unfortunate because the commissioner for health and the commissioner for information, they are just again parroting what their governor has been saying. One of them was even saying that the NCDC has not been helping Nigeria. Now, what kind of illiterate talk is that?
Yeah.
The NCDC, under the NCDC Act 2018, is empowered by law to lead Nigeria in the face of this kind of public health emergency. So the NCDC is acting within the purview of the law.
Correct.
And if, aides to governors, if they don't have knowledge, if they don't know what to say, I've also always said, look, volubility is not an asset in public communication, except you are making sense. If you don't want to make sense, then just shut the hell up and keep quiet.
Yeah, Dr. Bati, you've always said this. These people are just using this as an opportunity for comedy. That's the only way that I can think about it.
This is why I said, how wonderful. The NCDC wants to inject coronavirus into Kogi State. I'm sorry, of what focus is Kogi State to the NCDC in the middle of a pandemic? Like, there's just no 2 and 2 to put together here. It just doesn't make any sense. sense. Wonderful.
Well, maybe they enjoy the windbaggery that they are engaging in. The windbaggery is not based on science.
No, it's not fair for the people. Of course, their lives, their lives at stake right now in Kogi State.
The cost is life.
This is serious, really, really. Let's head over to Ghana now, where a 95-year-old Ghanaian World War veteran has walked 23 kilometers in 1 week to raise funds for healthcare workers fighting the coronavirus pandemic in Africa. Joseph Hammond logged 3.2 kilometers each day to reach his target on Africa Day earlier this week in Ghana's capital, Accra. As of Thursday, he had raised almost $26,000. Hammond fought the war for Great Britain, like thousands of Africans that came under the colonial rule at the time.
You mean to tell me that this man I'm looking at on the screen right now is 95?
Yes,
Oji, I don't believe
old. Yes, he is 95 years
Look at how
old.
well he looks.
And he is completely amazing. And he's continuing to ask people to donate to this whole effort. I mean, this is complete. So he got inspired by Captain Tom. And he said, why not? He should be able to do it at this point. And he didn't walk alone. While he gave a narrative. He said that while he was walking with different kinds of people, actors, musicians, he would narrate his ordeal during the war. And he just felt really sad sometimes when he'll tell those stories. And you see, 95 years old, you think that they would forget, but
Oh no,
yes,
the brains, what you find.
Amazing.
Especially with a lot of old people that serve, you find that their minds are still always literally
intact.
There and so intact.
Look at his swag right there.
I know, right? That's what I was like, are you sure he's 95?
Yes, he's 95.
Maybe if you said 75, I would have believed.
No,
he's 95.
Amazing.
He fought in the Second World War
in
Burma, now known as Myanmar. And at the end of this 7-day walk, he's been able to raise up to $18,000. There were contributions. Yeah. And on the last day of his trek, he was joined by the British High Commissioner to Ghana. And so ordinary people also joined him. And you can see there are other World War or war veterans joining him. But there was something he said that I think should be carefully underscored. He said that he had fought in many wars, but that he has not seen any war that is worse than this pandemic.
Yes.
Because when you go to war, at least you know the enemy. He's wearing a uniform.
Yes.
But COVID-19 is an invisible enemy. Yeah. And that to be able to defeat this invisible enemy, all hands must be on deck. The second point to note in his heroic act is the fact that, he's inspired by the example of Captain Sir Thomas More, the 100-year-old who raised over 40 million pounds in the United Kingdom. He was knighted on account of that, but the strong message is that these persons, he is 95, Captain Tom Moore is 100 years old. Even at their old age, even in the winter season of their lives, even as they are in the departure lounge, they still show us, the younger ones, the example that you must have a sense of community, you must have a sense of, of citizenship, either at the national level or at the global level. Absolutely. So we commend him for his effort, and I hope that more people, particularly younger people, will be inspired by his courage.
Absolutely. He's also showing us that we have to keep fit. Because all I found myself asking is, am I going to be able to walk that much at 95? And now I'm like, yes, I must be able to.
Well, I've seen one old woman, dancing, doing TikTok.
Yes, on TikTok.
I saw that. So you can achieve it.
Now,
And there's another Corona survivor, also
amazing.
Very energetic. So you can achieve it.
Definitely, 100%.
Very well said, guys. Let's head over to the U.S. now. President Donald Trump has escalated his war on social media by signing an executive order challenging the liability protections that have served as a bedrock for unfettered speech on the internet. Critics are saying the move appears to be more about politics than substance. On Tuesday, Twitter applied fact checks to 2 of Donald Trump's tweets. Trump called the fact checks an editorial decision by Twitter that amounts to political activism. Well, let's take a listen.
The choices that Twitter makes when it chooses to suppress, edit, blacklist, shadow, ban are editorial decisions, pure and simple. They're editorial decisions. In those moments, Twitter ceases to be a neutral public platform and they become an editor with a viewpoint. What they choose to fact check and what they choose to ignore or even promote is nothing more than a political activism group or political activism. and it's inappropriate.
Well, of course, this would be his stance, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
he's very serious about it.
Yes, he is.
But the issue is whether it is constitutional or legal.
Yes, critics
And
are saying
the issue
that.
here is the same issue we raised with regard to Executive Order number 10 of 2020 of the Nigerian government. And the question is whether an executive order can be used as a lawmaking instrument. Now, this executive order on censorship of the social media is divided into 8 sections. The policy that President Trump articulates is that free speech must be protected. However, there is an existing law, Section 230 of it, Communications Decency Act of 1996. And that's why people have been saying that, you know, there are legal issues involved and people will go to court to challenge this particular executive order as they have done other ones in the past. The argument is that under that Section 30, subsection B of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, now tech companies like Google, Facebook, social media platforms, they are given certain, you know, they're excluded from certain liabilities, particularly if it is if the action is taken in good faith on a good Samaritan basis, such as blocking content that could harm other people, you know, controlling the flow of content. The second argument is that what President Trump is trying to do is an act of vendetta, because after his first tweet was fact-checked, he said he was going to fight back. And he even threatened that he will make a law to deal with the social media platforms. And he went ahead and did it. Now, that's dictatorship.
Oh, but they call him King Trump, Dr. Abati. You know that.
So I don't think that this will stand if it is challenged in the court of law. And I think it is good that they are beginning to fact-check Donald Trump.
Yes, I am so excited.
He accuses Facebook, Twitter, Google, and other social platforms of being agents of the Chinese.
It's now that he knows that he wants to defend free speech. When people ask him questions, he's like, that's a very stupid question. And he's like, what? I mean...
Next question.
Let's see what happens. Let's see how far this will go, Donald Trump. Well, should we take our final story in the U.S., where a 103-year-old Polish grandmother has survived the new coronavirus. Janine Stijina tested positive for COVID-19 3 weeks ago and was the first confirmed case in the nursing home, where they still have over 33 active cases. Her granddaughter described her as a feisty spirit, and she indeed displayed that during her battle with the disease and chose to celebrate her recovery with a cold beer.
This is a whole mood.
I know that you told me, you're like, this is going to be me.
You see why there is hope?
I told you what I told her.
That's exactly what she told. She's like, this is going to be me when I am.
I said, this is me at 103.
103? I mean, this woman is completely amazing. I saw videos of her. She's like talking with her children, and she's so fit still. I mean, this story is just continue to give us hope with this new coronavirus.
Certainly
that, you know, we all are, you know, we are vulnerable, but at the same time, there is survival from this disease. I love it.
Well, thank you very much, Ojy.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dr. Abati.
Ojy.
Thank you, Leila.
Have a great weekend ahead.